Hello, and a very warm welcome back to Elderflowerings. It is such a joy to gather with you again in this space where we explore the rich, evolving landscape of our later years, not as a time of winding down, but as a season ripe with potential for new growth, deep meaning, and continued blossoming. One of the questions that often surfaces, sometimes with a whisper of anxiety, sometimes with a surge of hopeful curiosity as we approach or navigate retirement, is what now? For decades, our lives may have been largely defined by our careers, our professional identities, the rhythm of work, or the immense and vital role of raising a family. And when that familiar structure shifts, when the daily demands lessen, it's entirely natural to feel a sense of, well, a gap, perhaps a loss of that clear-cut purpose that once propelled us out of bed each morning. You might find yourself with more time on your hands than you've had in years, yet feel a subtle sense of being unmoored, of wondering, what is my contribution now? Where do I find my unique value in this new chapter? If these feelings resonate with you, please know that you are in very good company. This search for or redefinition of purpose in retirement is a common, deeply human experience. It's not a sign of failure or a lack of imagination. It's a natural response to a significant life transition. But here is the wonderfully empowering truth we'll explore today. Retirement, far from being an endpoint of purpose, can be the very gateway to discovering new passions, rekindling old dreams, and finding meaning in ways you might never have anticipated. It's a chapter that offers the incredible gifts of time and freedom, inviting us to write new, exciting verses in our life story. Today, we are going to share some truly inspiring, though fictionalized for our purpose here, stories from seniors who have navigated this very path. Individuals who, like many of you, initially felt that purpose gap, but then, through courage, curiosity, and a willingness to explore, found new and profound ways to live with intention, joy, and a deep sense of fulfillment after retirement. Their journeys are filled with practical insights and heartfelt wisdom that I believe will resonate with you, whether you are newly retired, contemplating retirement, or simply seeking to enrich your current chapter. We'll see how purpose isn't always found in grand gestures, but often in the quiet unfolding of new interests, the warmth of new connections, and the rediscovery of our own innate capacity to contribute and create. So, I invite you to settle in, open your heart, and let these stories spark new possibilities within you. Before we meet our inspiring individuals, if you believe in the enduring power of purpose at every age, and if you find value in these kinds of heartfelt explorations, please do consider liking this video and subscribing to Elderflowerings. Your support allows us to continue growing this wonderful community. And perhaps as we begin, you might share in the comments one thing that has always brought you a sense of purpose, however big or small. Your reflections are always a gift. Understanding the purpose gap in retirement and why it matters. Before we dive into our inspiring stories, let's take a moment to understand why this feeling of a purpose gap can be so pronounced during the retirement transition. For many of us, our work life provided much more than just a paycheck. It offered a daily routine, a set of responsibilities, intellectual challenges, a sense of competence, and, very importantly, a built-in social network. When that structure disappears, it can leave a void that isn't just about empty time, but about a perceived loss of identity and value. Similarly, if your primary role was focused on raising children and managing a bustling household, the empty nest or the slowing of those intense caregiving demands can also lead to a profound questioning of what is my role now? Society, too, sometimes contributes to this by inadvertently framing retirement as a period of solely winding down, of passive leisure, rather than as a dynamic phase of active engagement and continued growth. But the deep human need for purpose, for feeling that our life has meaning and that we are making a worthwhile contribution, doesn't simply vanish when we receive our last paycheck or when our children become independent adults. This yearning for purpose is a fundamental aspect of our well being, a vital nutrient for our spirit at all ages. In fact, numerous studies in the field of positive psychology and gerontology highlight that a strong sense of purpose in later life is directly linked to greater longevity, better physical health, enhanced cognitive function, and overall increased happiness and life satisfaction. So it's crucial to reframe retirement not as an ending, but as a profound transition. A transition that, while it may bring challenges, also offers the unparalleled gifts of freedom and time. Freedom from the rigid schedules and demands of formal work, and time to explore, to discover, to learn, and to consciously choose how we wish to invest our energy and our unique talents in ways that are personally meaningful. This is not about trying to replicate the purpose we found in our careers, but about discovering new expressions of purpose that align with who we are now, with our accumulated wisdom, and with our evolving passions. Let's see how some remarkable individuals have navigated this journey. Eleanor's story, the lifelong learner and accidental mentor. Our first story is about Eleanor, a woman who, at 73, found herself feeling adrift after a fulfilling 40-year career as a dedicated high school English teacher. For Eleanor, her work wasn't just a job, it was her passion. She loved igniting a love for literature in her students, the intellectual stimulation of discussing great works, the camaraderie of her colleagues. Retirement, while initially welcomed for the promise of rest, soon left her with a quiet ache. The days felt long, her sharp mind a little restless. I missed the spark of learning, the joy of sharing ideas, she confided. She'd read, of course, but it wasn't the same as the dynamic engagement she'd known. One afternoon, while browsing her local community center's newsletter, a small notice caught her eye. Introduction to Digital Photography for Seniors. Eleanor had always admired beautiful photographs, but had never considered herself remotely artistic or tech-savvy. Oh, I couldn't possibly, was her first thought. But a little nudge of curiosity, a whisper of what if, prompted her to sign up. The first few classes were, she admitted, a bit intimidating. The camera felt alien in her hands, the software baffling. There were moments she wanted to give up, but her instructor was patient, and her fellow students, also seniors, were encouraging. Slowly, painstakingly, she began to learn. She started seeing the world differently, noticing light and shadow, texture and composition in ways she never had before. Her daily walks transformed into photographic expeditions. What began as a hesitant exploration soon blossomed into a genuine passion. Eleanor found herself engrossed, not just in taking pictures, but in learning photo editing and studying the work of great photographers. Her mind, which had felt a bit fallow, was alive again with new challenges and discoveries. But the real magic, the true spark of renewed purpose, happened unexpectedly. One day, a younger woman at the community center, seeing Eleanor expertly adjusting settings on her camera, shyly asked for some advice. Eleanor, drawing on her decades as an educator, patiently explained. The woman's face lit up with understanding. Soon others began to approach her. Before she knew it, Eleanor was informally mentoring a small group of aspiring photographers, sharing her newfound skills, her artistic eye, and her enduring love for learning. It was a revelation, Eleanor told me, her eyes sparkling. I thought my teaching days were over, but I realized purpose isn't tied to a specific role or a paycheck. It's about using what you know, what you love, to connect with and uplift others. Learning photography gave my mind a new focus, but teaching it, sharing that joy, that gave my heart a new song. Eleanor now co-leads the community center's photography club, her days filled with creative exploration and the deep satisfaction of fostering growth in others. Eleanor's lesson for us is beautiful and profound. Purpose can be joyfully rediscovered in the pursuit of lifelong learning, in bravely stepping into new areas of interest, even those that seem daunting at first. And often, that personal growth naturally finds an outward expression, allowing us to share our passions and mentor others, creating a ripple effect of inspiration and connection. It reminds us that our capacity to learn and to contribute never truly retires. George's story, the community connector and heartfelt volunteer. Next, let's meet George. At 68, George retired from a demanding but rewarding career as a project manager in construction. His work life had been all about problem solving, teamwork, and seeing tangible results. Retirement, he imagined, would be a welcome respite, a time for golf and relaxation. And for a while, it was. But soon, a sense of restlessness began to creep in. The golf games felt a little empty, the days a bit too unstructured. He missed the feeling of being needed, of contributing to something beyond his own leisure. I felt like I was on the sidelines of life, he admitted, and I've always been a player. George had always been a practical man, someone who liked to fix things to make things better. One day, reading his local newspaper, he saw an urgent appeal from the town's struggling food bank. They were desperately short of volunteers to sort donations and help with distribution, especially individuals with organizational skills. Something clicked for George. Here was a tangible need, a place where his project management experience, his ability to organize and streamline, could actually make a difference. He was a little hesitant at first. It was a world away from construction sites. But he decided to give it a try. He started by volunteering just one morning a week. He found himself sorting cans, organizing shelves, and soon, with his natural ability to see systems, he was helping the food bank director improve their inventory process and distribution logistics. He met other volunteers, people from all walks of life, united by a common desire to help their neighbors. He heard their stories, shared his own, and began to feel a sense of camaraderie he hadn't realized he was missing. The work was sometimes physically tiring, but it was also deeply rewarding. Seeing the gratitude on the faces of the families who received assistance, knowing he was part of a team addressing a real community need, filled George with a profound sense of purpose he hadn't felt since his working days. His involvement grew. He started helping with fundraising, then joined their advisory board. Retirement for George was no longer about filling time. It was about investing his time, his skills, and his heart in a cause that mattered deeply to him. You know, George reflected, a warm smile spreading across his face, I used to build buildings. Now I feel like I'm helping to build community, to build hope, and that's a foundation that feels even stronger. He found that his days once again had structure, his skills were valued, and he was surrounded by people who shared his commitment. He was no longer on the sidelines. He was an essential player on a team making a tangible difference. George's powerful lesson for us is this: Purpose is abundantly available when we look beyond ourselves and seek ways to contribute to the well-being of our communities. Volunteering our time and talents, no matter how seemingly small, not only addresses vital societal needs, but also enriches our own lives immeasurably, offering new social connections, a renewed sense of value, and the deep, quiet satisfaction that comes from making a positive impact on the world around us. Clara's story, the creative reinventor and late blooming artist. Our third story introduces us to Clara. For most of her life, Clara, now 70, had been the epitome of dedication to her family and a steady, if unexciting, administrative career. She'd raised 3 children, managed a household, and supported her husband's ambitions, always putting others first. Deep down, she'd always harbored a secret, almost forgotten, yearning to paint. As a young girl, she'd loved to draw and lose herself in colors, but life, with its practical demands, had gently pushed that passion aside. Retirement arrived, and with it, a vast expanse of unstructured time. Her children were grown and had families of their own. Her husband was content with his own hobbies. Clara found herself feeling empty. The quiet in the house, once a rare luxury, now felt a little too profound. One day, while clearing out her attic, she stumbled upon an old, dusty box of her childhood art supplies. A few worn paintbrushes, some dried-up tubes of watercolor, a faded sketchbook. Holding them, a flicker of that long-lost desire stirred within her. Could I, she wondered, at my age, with no formal training? Self-doubt was a loud voice, but a stronger, quieter voice, a whisper from her younger self, urged her to try. She enrolled in a beginner's watercolor class at a local art center. The first few attempts were, in her own words, hilariously disastrous. Her colors bled, her lines wobbled, her attempts at perspective were comically off. There were many moments she felt like giving up, convinced she simply didn't have the talent. But there was also a joy in the process itself, in the simple act of mixing colors, of watching them spread across the paper, of trying to capture the beauty she saw in a flower or a sunset. Her teacher was encouraging. Her fellow students, many of them also retirees exploring new passions, were supportive. Slowly, with patient practice, Clara began to find her artistic voice. She discovered she had a particular love for painting vibrant, joyful florals and serene landscapes that reminded her of her childhood summers. Her home began to fill with her colorful creations. Painting became her meditation, her playground, her way of expressing the beauty and emotion she held within. It wasn't about becoming a famous artist. It was about the profound, personal fulfillment she found in the act of creating, in bringing something new and beautiful into the world that hadn't existed before. Her family was astonished and delighted by her newfound passion. Her grandchildren, in particular, loved Grandma Clara's paintings. She started creating personalized paintings as gifts, each one imbued with her love. She even tentatively entered a piece in a local senior art show and, much to her surprise, received an honorable mention. But the true reward wasn't the ribbon. It was the quiet confidence, the sense of joyful accomplishment, the feeling of having finally honored that long dormant creative spark within her. I feel like I've discovered a part of myself I didn't know was still there, or perhaps never knew I had, Clara shared, her eyes shining. Retirement gave me the gift of time, and painting gave that time a beautiful, vibrant purpose. Clara's inspiring lesson resonates deeply. Retirement is the perfect, fertile ground for unleashing dormant creativity and finding profound purpose in self-expression. It's never too late to pick up that paintbrush, that musical instrument, that gardening trowel, that pen, and explore the artist, the writer, the musician, the creator that may have been quietly waiting within you for decades. The joy is in the process, in the discovery, in allowing your unique voice to find its form. Distilling the wisdom, common threads, and how you can find your purpose. Eleanor, George, and Clara, three distinct individuals, three unique journeys, yet their stories weave together with common, luminous threads of wisdom that can guide us all as we seek purpose in our later years. What can we learn from them? First, there's the undeniable power of openness and curiosity. Each of them, despite initial hesitations or feelings of being too old or not capable, allowed themselves to be open to trying something new, to stepping outside their established comfort zones. Eleanor tentatively picked up a camera. George walked into a bustling food bank. Clara bravely faced a blank canvas. Second, they all discovered purpose through active engagement, not passive waiting. They didn't wait for purpose to find them. They actively sought out activities, learning opportunities, and ways to contribute that resonated with their interests and values. Purpose is rarely a lightning bolt of revelation. More often, it's uncovered through the gentle process of exploration and action. Third, connection in its myriad forms was a vital outcome and often a key motivator. Eleanor connected through shared learning and mentorship. George found camaraderie and a sense of belonging in serving his community. Clara connected with her own inner artist and then shared that gift with her family and a wider audience. Fourth, the purpose they found was often linked to a sense of contribution or self-expression. Giving back, sharing knowledge, creating beauty, making a difference, or simply expressing a unique part of themselves. This outward or inward focus brought immense internal satisfaction. And finally, they all demonstrated that purpose can evolve and take many forms. It doesn't have to be a grand, world-changing endeavor. It can be found in quiet learning, in dedicated service, in the joyful act of creation, in nurturing relationships, or in simply continuing to grow as an individual. So, how can you begin your own journey of discovering or redefining your purpose after retirement? Here are a few gentle, practical steps inspired by these stories. 1. Reflect and reconnect with yourself. Take some quiet time to reflect on your life. What activities have brought you joy and a sense of fulfillment in the past, even if they were hobbies set aside during your busy working years? What skills or talents have you perhaps underused? What subjects have you always been curious about but never had the time to explore? Your past passions often hold clues to your future purpose. 2. Explore your local community and online world. Your community is likely brimming with opportunities. Check out local senior centers, libraries, volunteer organizations, community colleges offering courses for seniors, art centers or special interest clubs, gardening, books, walking, crafts. Online platforms also offer a universe of learning opportunities and communities built around shared interests. 3. Start small and be patient. You don't have to commit to something huge right away. Try a single class, a one-off volunteer event, or dedicate just an hour a week to exploring a new hobby. Give yourself permission to experiment, to try things and decide they're not for you without judgment. Purpose often reveals itself gradually. 4. Embrace curiosity and say yes more often, within reason. When an interesting opportunity or invitation comes your way, even if it feels a little outside your comfort zone, try to lean in with curiosity rather than immediately dismissing it. A simple yes can open unexpected doors. 5. Understand that purpose can be multifaceted and evolving. Your purpose in retirement might not be one single thing. It could be a beautiful mosaic of different activities, relationships, and contributions. And it can change and evolve as you do. Allow yourself that flexibility. This journey of finding purpose is so personal. Perhaps there's an old passion you're thinking of rekindling, or a new skill you've been curious about. Sharing your initial thoughts in the comments can sometimes be the first step in making them real. Your life, a canvas of continuing purpose. The stories of Eleanor, George, and Clara beautifully illuminate a profound truth. Retirement is not a destination where purpose fades. It is a vast, open landscape offering countless pathways to new meaning, continued growth, and deep, abiding joy. It is a chapter where the wisdom accumulated over a lifetime can find new and vibrant expression, where passions long deferred can finally take flight, and where the simple act of connecting with others or contributing to the world around us can bring unparalleled fulfillment. The purpose gap that some experience is not an empty void, but rather an open invitation, an invitation from life itself to explore, to discover, to create, to learn, to serve, to connect in ways that are uniquely and authentically you. It's about understanding that your value as a human being is not and never was solely tied to your professional title or your role as a primary caregiver. Your inherent worth, your capacity to contribute, your ability to find joy and meaning, these are constants that endure and can even flourish with newfound freedom. So, as you navigate your own retirement journey, or as you contemplate the path ahead, I encourage you to do so with a spirit of hopeful curiosity and courageous openness. See this time not as a diminishment, but as an expansion. Embrace the opportunity to ask yourself, what truly makes my heart sing? What skills or passions have been waiting patiently in the wings? How can I, in my own unique way, continue to make a difference, however small it may seem, in my own life and in the lives of others? Remember, your story is still being beautifully written. Every day offers a fresh page, and you, with your unique experiences, your wisdom, and your enduring spirit, are the cherished author. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining me today on Elderflowerings, for sharing this exploration into the vital heart of purpose. Your presence here, your willingness to learn and grow alongside us, is what makes this community so special. If these stories and insights have resonated with you, please do consider liking this video, subscribing to our channel for more conversations that celebrate and empower our later years, and sharing this message with anyone you feel might find it uplifting. Until next time, may you find deep joy in your explorations, may your days be filled with meaning, and may you always, always keep blooming.